Hey gang, it's JC, and this is a special edition of the Daily Dose for Monday, November 15th, 2010. A cooperative venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. Archives top of the page, Eye Candy Archives bottom of the page, Dave Murray's weather forecast, and the audio on iTunes. You can get us on your smartphone, and gosh, shouldn't that be enough? We are on the Big 550 KTRS every Monday through Friday from 10 in the morning until 1. And here's our boy. There he is. That's our boy right there. You gotta. That's a nice little white suit there you got on there. It's past Labor Day. Anyhow, let me dive into this. Okay, last Thursday I finally got out of the radio station at a decent hour. I've been pretty much living there for the last month or so, trying to get the show up and running. And I got home and I started catching up on my email. And one was from a guy by the name of Floyd over in Mount Vernon, Illinois, and it was just plain snotty, rude, insulting, and creepy. Now, most of the time I either ignore these kinds of people, sometimes I will send back an equally snotty response. Unfortunately, in this job, sometimes you get people who think it's perfectly okay to just try to turn somebody that they watch on TV or listen on the radio into a punching bag. And this was one of those guys. Then came another one from the same guy. This one even more aggressive, creepy, snotty, and rude. And then a third one came in. Now finally, after that, I decided to take his head off. I humiliated him, I belittled him, I pulverized him, and I let him know the best way I could that I was not a punching bag. And I insulted him, and I insulted his wife, I insulted everything about him. Of course, understanding I don't know a thing about this guy other than he sends creepy emails. Now, JC, is that the way you talk to people? Well, of course not. I have better manners, I think, than most people do. And the overwhelming majority of people are very, very nice to me, whether it's in public or an email or whatever. And every once in a while you get a jerk. And so of course not. This is not how I talk to people. This is how I talk to goons. And goons are people who do things like send repeated, hostile, creepy, insulting, sometimes threatening messages to people who don't want them. Little story. Recently I had to threaten to get a restraining order against a guy down in South City who was sending increasingly hostile email messages to me at my house. Then he actually sent something to my house. It was in my mailbox. Okay? Then he was stalking me. He and a buddy waited outside for me at a store on Watson Road about a year and a half ago, and I ran to the car and got a bat out of the trunk. This whole incident, by the way, is on record in the Sunset Hills Police Department. And I've had other incidents like this too, and I wish that I could tell you how many people on radio or TV, or they're just sort of like local celebrities and stuff, run into this sort of thing. And I mean, gosh, the stories I could just tell you about things going on at Fox 2 alone. The Randy Naughton story. It's unbelievable. It'll turn your stomach. There are just creeps out there who think that this is perfectly acceptable behavior. So anyhow, finally I put a blocker on this guy's email, and he managed to get another one through. And in that one, he starts, remember I said that I insulted him and everything about him, including his family and his wife and everything like that. Well, now he sends me another email after I put a blocker on. I don't know how he got it through, but he did. And complaining the fact that his wife had died. And now I'm supposed to what? I'm supposed to feel awful because his wife's dead? I'm walking down the street and the guy punches me in the nose and then starts whining because I punched back. That's the equivalent of what was going on here. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, out in California some years ago, the Menendez brothers, Lyle and Eric, murdered their parents, but they didn't have the gall to go to the court and insist on getting some sort of pity because they were now orphans. So the next thing I know, this guy Floyd out in Mount Vernon has contacted all the TV stations and, of course, the Post-Dispatch and the Gossip Girl. Deb Peterson has had the job at the Post-Dispatch for 8 years, and she's never written anything complimentary about me in 8 years. Every piece has been hostile. Now, I mean, just for example, in those 8 years, I've had some great accomplishments. I mean, I've had some awards and honors, 2 successful books, some charity stuff. It was J.C. Corcoran Day in the city of St. Louis, as declared by Mayor Francis Slay. But you're not going to read any of that stuff in her column. She's only interested in ridicule. Oh, and by the way, it's mandatory that you find the most embarrassing, awful picture you can find of the person when you run the story. So at the Post-Dispatch, Deb Peterson's column, they're not even trying to masquerade in any way. They're not trying to camouflage it. They're not trying to in any way cover up the fact that it's a hatchet job. It's hilarious. But, I'm back on the air. The show sounds great. The advertiser support is rolling in. Everybody's getting along with everybody. And that drives people like Deb Peterson insane. A little story. Last Friday, Deb Peterson was on the air with McGraw-Millhaven on the morning show on KTRS. And she immediately began baiting him about me. She was insistent about saying that I had been trashing him on the air. Didn't you hear it, McGraw? You didn't hear it? He's just trashing you on his show. And so when I came in later that morning, McGraw and two of his producers were sort of waiting for me, like, what's going on? And so I told them exactly what I said. And I said there was a story that I had done about some police department somewhere where they had found a man lying face down naked and with a mouse in his butt. And I said the police arrested the man and immediately charged him with 2 counts of impersonating McGraw-Millhaven in college. Well, all 3 of these guys, including McGraw, busted a gut. They thought it was funny, because of course it is funny, and I understand what I'm doing. I'm just cross-promoting and just having a little fun. And they stick me on the air, and it's all well and good. It's the way things are done these days. So Deb Peterson's attempt to stir up trouble and turn people against one another at the radio station for her own sort of sick entertainment failed. And I don't know her. I've never even met her. But she appears to have some sort of sick obsession with me, and it's sort of spooky if you want to know something. But anyhow, back to the story. Most of us learned as kids that, sometimes your older brother or older sister would be sitting there just minding their own business, and you're the younger sibling, and you come along, and you're just bored, so you kick them, and they ignore you. And you kick them again, a little harder, and they ignore you. And you kick them the 3rd time. You really kick them good this time because you're just messing with them. And that older brother or older sister has finally had it and turns around and knocks you into the middle of next week. And, of course, then you go running to Mom and, Bobby hit me, Bobby hit me. And, of course, Mom is smart enough to know, and what did you do to make Bobby hit you? And then, of course, it gets real quiet. So in this story, I'm the older brother minding his own business. Floyd is the younger brother who's kicking me. And Deb Peterson is the 6-year-old little sister who goes running around all over the neighborhood saying, Bobby and Jimmy got in trouble, Bobby and Jimmy got in trouble, Bobby and Jimmy got in trouble. What a pathetic existence. So to review, you can't start trouble and then whine when you get trouble. By the way, nothing ever passed through any property at the radio station. These are all private transmissions on my personal email account at my home. Frankly, this isn't even anybody's business. But it's also another demonstration of why newspapers are going out of business. Post-Dispatch down another 8% just in the last year. Now, maybe you're saying to yourself, geez, JC, you don't seem very upset about this. If it were me, I'd be pretty upset. Well, consider this. I started out on this job 3 weeks ago, and we've been trying to get the word out that I'm back on the air. Well, the Post-Dispatch just helped us do that very efficiently. Even my Facebook friend request, they went berserk over the weekend. So I'm not upset. Matter of fact, we thank the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. So anyhow, that's that. Floyd. All right, we have new features for you. JC's Video Village goes back to 1987, where a very boyish-looking Michael Douglas, it's sort of tough to see him now in his declining health, but boy, was he a good-looking guy back in 1987 when I was in New York doing interviews for the movie Fatal Attraction. Back to 1987 and Michael Douglas on the Video Village. The Wayback Machine is Bob Gauss, instructor at Tower T, forever. Back in 1999, he qualified for the U.S. Open, and the story was reported by our old buddy, Drew Smith, who used to fill in for Mike Bush sometimes on the old Breakfast Club. And that's pretty much it. And JC's Eye Candy today is a great couple of pictures from John Brown's 40th birthday party over the weekend. That's it. JC's Daily Dose, special edition. for Monday, November 15th, 2010, a cooperative venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. In the meantime, we've beaten this one to death. Bye, Floyd. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.